Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Hopefully everyone is well and comfortable. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Gadigal people, and welcome you to the 6th workshop on the social implications of national security with the theme Surveillance and Point of View Technologies in Law Enforcement. I'd like to begin by thanking the Sydney Institute of Criminology for this wonderful venue today, and I very much appreciate everyone's participation. It's been a wonderful 3 days for those of us who have been at the previous conference, but with fresh insights for those who have arrived today. I'm sure it'll be a wonderful day. MG and I began corresponding with Steve Mann in 2008 when he attempted to begin an entry on Uberveillance on Wikipedia. This initial exchange with Professor Mann came as a complete surprise. It is one of those key moments in a researcher's life. In corresponding, we exchanged our thoughts on surveillance and on the existential axis he had developed. He wrote in the Surveillance and Society journal in the first year of its existence, quote, "One way to challenge and problematize both surveillance and acquiescence to it is to resituate these technologies of control on individuals, offering panoptic technologies to help them observe those in authority. We call this inverse panopticon surveillance from the French words verser, meaning below, and veiller, to watch. Point of view, on the other hand, has a different connotation to surveillance, emphasizing the camera holder's position and power. Traditionally, it is a technique in motion photography. Both are important in law enforcement, as on the one hand, police are subjected to surveillance, and on the other hand, they are playing to a new theatre. I can think of no better way to depict surveillance than to show you this short clip taken by Steve Mann himself. In this clip, you will note that Steve is exercising his civil rights, using his knowledge of engineering principles. The officer on duty rejects being a subject on Mann's recording. He asks Steve what he is doing with the camera and whether or not it is filming. Steve replies that indeed it is recording and that this is what he does. Quote, "I record my life. That's just what I do." To this, the officer replies, "I don't care what you do. I don't want to be a part of your life. I want you to erase that video now. I've got a family, you know." As the encounter unfolds, the officer asks, "Sir, are you on any medication? Are you sick?" As he uses his police mobile to request reinforcements for the arrest, and during this arrest, Steve was hurt. Only 1 week prior, Steve had been electrocuted by one of those above-ground cables that you'll see in this video shortly.
Oh, what's that? Okay, I've photographed my whole life. I always walk on.
Okay, I don't want to be a part of your life in this photograph. Can you erase that for me? Sir, take a picture across the street, please. Did you take a picture of me?
I recorded my whole life.
Did you take a picture of me?
I'm recording video.
Yes, it's a question, yes or no. Did you take a picture of me?
I'm recording video.
It's a simple answer, yes or no. Did you take a picture of me?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I need you to erase that.
Okay, I'll have to call my lawyer then.
Call your lawyer and give him my number. Do you not understand the ramifications of what could happen here? Do you not realize what could happen here?
Write up an institute report and I'll talk to my lawyer then.
You see, no. That's what you did. You want to be a smart ass. You want to put down the jeopardy? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm just recording my
I
entire
don't
life.
care about your entire life. You don't get what I'm telling you?
Can I speak to another
You get
officer?
lost. Let's go down here. Leave it here with me. I'm not going to touch it. Leave it here with me. And you go down there. No, go down there. You want to get another officer? Then come up here.
Okay.
And I'm telling you right now, this is not getting out of my sight. I got my picture out of it.
Not long after our initial correspondence with Steve, we were introduced to Blogger.mobi, one of his creations, a novel social media-rich platform developed by him and his colleagues. A glog or cyborg log is footage taken of an event in which the camera holder is a participant. I was not surprised to see that in 2008 there were already 35,000 bloggers online showing people their whole life and recording their whole life. Today, just in over 2 years, there are 158,000 people doing that. All of these people maintain the hope of recording, if not their whole life, then at least aspects. I thought I would give it a go soon after, so I introduced my 200 students in the social policy major to Glogger.mobi and asked them to upload their life. This platform provided incredible opportunities of expression. I began to ask Steve about the social implications, the ethics and moral questions of this sort of environment and what it raised. How could I run this activity without human research ethics approval? He replied just to tell anyone who did not wish to be filmed to fill out a form known as a request for deletion. The RFD form is in your pack. Currently I'm recording. It was that simple to him. So rather than getting individual consent from each participant and bystander in footage, you would simply ask individuals to opt out on a case-by-case basis. As you noted, that officer said, "I'd like that photo deleted." But this act has much to say about potentially covert policing, of which Nick O'Brien will speak on today. As fate would have it, in mid-2009, without any previous contact, MG and I were asked by Mr. Alexander Hayes, who's here today, who was working for EduPub at the time, to speak on the social implications of point-of-view technologies in education. Our presentation received strong mixed reviews. Some at the AllPub conference did not believe that social implications had anything to do with POV, while others could see the potential fallout of getting a group of students in the education sector to use POV against their will. For example, the assessment on Glogger.mobi we ran had to be highly prescriptive. A student was not going to receive marks for going to the toilet and filming while he was doing his personal business. Some students did not wish to be filmed at all, so they used cartoon characters instead. POV is not exactly inclusive, it's a discriminator. But if the AllPub experience taught us anything, it was that POV is in the eye of the beholder, context specific to the stakeholder who's holding the camera. Does the citizen who records his whole life have the same rights as the police officer wearing the body-worn video recording kit? Today we have two representatives here, one a civilian and barrister, Mr. Mark Lyle, and the other a proprietor of Modern Combatives, Mr. Rich Kay. Both of these gentlemen have much to say about the policing perspective in particular. It is important to emphasise that not all POV is legal, not all POV is ethical, and not all POV is in good taste. For example, videoing individuals having underage sex is illegal. Videoing others around you without their knowledge, even in a public space, using a covert, unobtrusive kit, may be considered unethical by civilians, although legal perhaps. Videoing lovers in a public park and putting it up on YouTube is not in good taste. Some may even argue that placing a GPS on a truck for organisational purposes may be just too pervasive, and we will hear from Dr. Carr later today about this trucking GPS business. I'm certain that as social media platforms proliferate, many will ask to be let alone, in what context the footage will be used, how the footage taken will be validated and stored, to whom the footage will belong, among other questions. These questions are particularly pertinent in the insurance industry. In-car video recording is now widely commercialised. Wearables that record, like helmet cams, are becoming plentiful, widely used in the mining sector for instance, and now we even have taser cams, perhaps predated by the stump cam in the game of cricket over a decade ago. The reality is that those supplying POV equipment, some specialising in spy equipment, have undergone a massive uptake in demand. I wrote several times to Australia's fastest growing franchisee of spy equipment and received no replies. Spy security solutions have grown from 2 franchisees to 11 in a very short period of time. Most of the stores are in Queensland and Victoria, which begs to question whether police are going out on their own and purchasing these new technologies, apart from, of course, members of the public. The no reply from OSPI could indicate that they do not wish to enter into the debate of this topic. Regulation for these organisations may mean a stifling of profits, at least for a short term, until loopholes are discovered in the legislation. We will hear about regulation from Professor Roger Clark and about legislation from SEP's research fellow, Dr. Saskia Hufnagel. We also approached Trackstick Online from Western Australia, and they would have been present to participate save for other commitments. Finally, I thank Alexander Hayes for recruiting DUS with a core valence brand. the largest supplier of e-witness technology in Australia, and a number of the people are here today. MG and I would also like to extend our thank you publicly to Alexander, a truly inspiring individual who has a great potential in the body-worn POV industry, and whose own PhD will be a landmark contribution. Whereas covert technology was used mainly by private investigators, now we have new kits that are worn by police. Encounters between citizens and police are now being captured through audio, in some instances video in others. There is anecdotal evidence to suggest that officers in local area commands that do not employ these technologies are going out themselves and investing in in-car video cams, like Roadhawk, to ensure they do not find themselves being accused of misdemeanours they have allegedly partaken in. In other instances, local area commands are trying to improve the image of police and citizen confidence in policing practice. We will hear on this sensitive issue about monitoring police by our keynote speaker, Professor Kevin Haggerty. Kevin, we are indebted to you for coming all the way from Canada for this talk. We hope it is the beginning of some heavy-duty cross-border collaboration with researchers in Australia. Still, in other instances, it is claimed that the video evidence gathered from the scene of the crime in the POV gaze of the police officer can be used to convict criminals. For the profoundly critical notion of the gaze and the omniscient theme, we will hear from our invited speaker, Professor David Lyon. David, we almost cannot believe you are here. Let us watch out for some of David's big ideas on ABC TV soon. But how much evidence gathering is too much? In the last 12 months, we have seen several riots, including the Canuck-Vancouver riots and the London riots. For the first time, crowdsourced surveillance played second fiddle to crowdsourced surveillance. Please think about the difference. The police called for footage to be submitted for use in convicting rioters for crimes committed. So many thousands of minutes were presented to the police above and beyond footage they had taken. One could consider cross-correlation of sorts taking place. This territorial perspective will be presented by Associate Professor Darren Palmer of the newly established Australian Surveillance Society group. It is predicted, however, that with time, crowdsourced surveillance will overwhelm the limited resources employed by the police to look at such video evidence, in many cases potentially thousands of hours worth. Professor Andrew Goldsmith has written about this new visibility with respect to the Tomlinson case. It is our opinion, as recently reported in a special guest edited issue in the Journal of Location-Based Services, that the police will be moving away from intelligent-led policing to an IT-led policing in near real time, if not real time. It will be the ability by the police to say that if you are currently in a zone of public disturbance or riot, that access to real-time engineering information will be used to denote your location. You will be a suspect based on your location potentially. Additional smartphone modalities will then be harnessed to ascertain whether or not you are a potential perpetrator, for instance, or whether you are an innocent bystander. For example, using the accelerometer information in the smartphone. It's what MG Michael calls data valence on the move, from the term data valence developed by Roger Clark. No doubt that this is the kind of scenario which will mean that momentarily people will decide to live off the grid, leave their mobiles behind, or use mobiles on secure and secret platforms, potentially like the BlackBerry device. But it is exactly this type of scenario that may herald in the age of ubervalence, a tiny onboard implant that is injected into the translucent layer of the skin and films everything as it sees it from that position. Implants can't be left behind. Implants are always with you, and implants allegedly cannot be subject to tampering. The iPlant, as we have termed it, might well be that singularity we've all been waiting for and enter the perception of perjury. The pitfalls with POV, no matter how many cameras are recording, and no matter from how many perspectives and how many stakeholders are involved, is that visual evidence has limitations. What is a whole incident? How can we denote past provocation or historical data not available during a given scene? How can we ensure that data on mobile transmission has not been intercepted? How can we ensure data validation? We might well be on another road similar to that of DNA as admissible evidence in a court of law. I want to thank you for being here today. I know it is a momentous occasion on this increasingly important topic. I would like to say also that the footage from my key fob has been recording the whole time. High definition recording on this key fob. I genuinely like to record my life, and yours while I'm at it. No, I don't really. But that's how all future gatherings of any sort might be in the future. Thank you.